I'm sure there's an occasional ugly person that used to look good back in the day, and they're like, hey, do you still have those old pictures of me? Is there any way you could leak those online? You guys remember back in the day, you would occasionally have a friend that might pull out his phone and show you some pictures of his girlfriend or one of his friends' girlfriends, right? And a lot of times as guys, you would stare at something like that and you would naturally chuckle. Now, in my case, whenever I saw stuff like that, I had a daughter, I had girlfriends and stuff. I never was the type that liked to share pictures of my girl or anything like that. I saw this, and originally I didn't think anything of it. I just kind of avoided it, right? But then over the last 2 weeks, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. And there's a YouTuber out there named Destiny. And allegedly, he took a picture that was shared with him by a streamer that's 19 years old that goes by the name of Pixie. And apparently, she shared some intimate pictures of herself with Destiny. Apparently what he did was he shared those with a third party or third person, however you want to call it. And apparently this third party ended up sharing her intimate pictures, and they got plastered all over the internet. This girl was only 19. Apparently she was kind of depressed and going through a tough time. She did share the picture with Destiny, thinking it was just between the two of them. So when she found out that it got shared all over the internet, apparently she went ahead and filed a lawsuit against him. Now, in retribution, what Destiny decided to do was he denied the charges, stating that he didn't do that. Somehow, his accounts got taken, and those pictures got out without his consent, without his knowledge, and it just wasn't really his fault. Destiny, to save face, offered to pay some of Pixie's bills, and in doing so, apparently has kind of admitted to the charges. Pixie claims that in addition to her, there are multiple victims, claiming she knows of at least 3 women that Destiny has done this to. There's a StarCraft 2 player that goes by the handle Blue T, who tweeted out a photo of Destiny's genitals as retaliation for him leaking out videos or photos of her. And what really made it sad was as he shared these photos of her, he was basically saying, isn't her face incredibly hideous compared to her absolutely gorgeous body? So it sounds to me like when it comes to Destiny, he's a very rich, successful YouTuber, but it sounds like when it comes to just being a decent human being, he's kind of lacking there. If you haven't seen Destiny, the first time I ever heard of him, there was a kind of a debate that he did with a guy named Jesse Lee Peterson. Jesse Lee Peterson kind of accused him of being bisexual, and he would allow his girlfriends to have sex with men in front of him. I guess they kind of were a little kinky like that. But then come to find out, Jesse Lee Peterson has some people that kind of claim that he's a closet gay man himself. If you ever watch that video, or if you haven't watched that video of their debate, I recommend you do. And then if you have some extra time, search for Jesse Lee Peterson might be gay, and you'll see some interesting stories. Now, the reason I say that is because a lot of times people that point the finger at other people, a lot of times they have bad stuff that they're doing as well. And a lot of times that bad stuff tends to come out to the light. Destiny denies the allegation, stating that the leak happened without his knowledge, consent, or authorization. Pixie has actually set up a fundraising campaign online to cover legal costs associated with the lawsuit. Here's what's tough about dealing with people that are extremely wealthy. They can threaten you, they can have their lawyers reach out to you and threaten you, and if you want to go to court against them, it could cost tens of thousands of dollars potentially even hundreds of thousands of dollars. So a lot of times the people that don't have money end up just kind of accepting whatever they're given from the people that do. In this case, it sounds like Pixie wanted a lot more than just for Destiny to pay some of her bills. And when I'm saying that, I'm not saying she's a gold digger, because that sentence kind of sounded like that. It sounds to me like he did some horrible stuff and was hoping to make it go away with a couple of dollars. So good for you, Pixie, for not allowing that to stand. Destiny, you're going down, allegedly. Apparently in 2021, guys, he did this to another YouTuber or another person online known as Anna Var. Destiny claims she was crazy and promised to leak her nudes. So here's one of those things where it's like, I guess you would call it revenge porn. Could you imagine having intimate relationships with somebody? They record you against your will, or maybe even with your consent. But then when you break up with them, or you have an argument or a disagreement with them, they end up threatening to leak your nudes. Why is this important? Well, it shows precedent that he's willing to use nudes and videos that he has of people that he has relationships with against them if he ends up considering them to be an enemy or against him. These are the absolute worst types, where they kind of feel like because they have a lot of money, they're kind of above the law. And if we were to be intellectually honest, I think there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of money, know that lawyers are expensive, know that they can ruin you financially if you go to court with them and lose. In this case, however, it looks like if they go to court, Destiny is probably going to lose. That's where scumball lawyers really irritate me, because a lot of times they know that their clients are no good, but they're so talented as lawyers, a lot of times they're able to pull victory from the jaws of defeat. By the way, apparently Destiny got divorced in 2023, and apparently he threatened his ex-wife by saying, if you share any of our intimate details from when we were married, I will ruin you. See, that's where it all comes, that's where the house of cards all comes tumbling down. Usually when you get away with something wrong and bad, you don't leave well enough alone. There's something addictive about continually trying to get away with things. And what happens through time, when nothing happens to you over the course of a couple years, you start to think that you're bulletproof, right? You start to think that, hey, I have a right to do this stuff. I have money, I can protect myself. But then all of a sudden you leave a paper trail a mile long, and it can really lead to your demise. I think this kind of happened with that other famous YouTuber. I forget his name. What is he, The Beast? I forget his name. Anyway, you guys probably know. If you remember, let me know down below. What makes it bad is usually once one domino falls, the other dominoes follow closely behind, and apparently more and more allegations are coming out each and every week. So here's my question to you, venters, and you can answer it from a male's point of view or from a female's point of view, depending on what you are. Have you ever had a situation where maybe somebody had some videos or photos of you, or you might have had videos and photos of them, and then all of a sudden there's a breakup, or maybe the friendship is over, and all of a sudden they're asking you for those pictures or videos back, or they're telling you you better get rid of that stuff or else? I just think that if you're intimate with people, don't let them record you. Don't let people take pictures of you. And whatever you do, ladies, if you're at a party and drinking, don't start lifting up your shirt and allowing people to take pictures of you. It could come back to haunt you. As a matter of fact, there's absolutely no positive action or result that's going to come from you sharing intimate pictures of yourself. I'm sure there's an occasional ugly person that used to look good back in the day, and they're like, hey, do you still have those old pictures of me? Is there any way you could leak those online? Hey, you remember when I was young and good looking? Is there any way you could leak some of those pictures of me, you know, when I was naked? This is one of those horrible things. The thing that freaks me out about it is not that people take pictures. because people have been taking and sharing pictures and videos of things that they shouldn't forever, right? The thing that freaks me out about it is these are those cases where money can really lead to evil, because whenever there's legalities involved, like I said, imagine if you didn't have much money, but you knew that you were wronged. Then imagine some lawyer contacts you and starts to threaten you with legal action and with court, right? All of a sudden, even though you've done nothing wrong, lawyers can really have a way of freaking people out. The last thing you want to do is to go broke in litigation, right? So here's where, again, I wish there were more lawyers that would kind of do the right thing. What's nice about the internet, though, is if you're popular enough, you can start to raise money through crowdfunding and, other websites. And it sounds to me like that's what Pixie did. Now, again, these are just allegations, so I don't want to say he's guilty of it. And I'm not a fan of Destiny, so it's not like I really care what happens with this. But he does represent something that's kind of prevalent out there. There's a lot of YouTubers and famous people like P. Diddy that have so much money that a lot of times they think they're invincible. And in some cases, they kind of are. The problem with people that go for walks is that I think they think one walk is going to make them healthier. If you go for one walk, you might as well just go and keep your eyes open the whole time and check out the neighborhood, because you're not really doing anything for your health. Remember, the important thing about walking is the whole longevity of it all. You need to walk every single day. So if you've been watching my videos and not walking, change the way you are, put your shoes on, get outside, let's burn some calories together. User Q8D9J says, people be doing that in my school, and since their girlfriends are young minors, they get put on the sex offenders list. It's a great way to ruin both lives. If you meet somebody and you find out that they're on some sex offenders list, you're not thinking that they're there because they shared a picture of some girl's boobs. You're thinking they're there because they did something incredibly heinous. And some people might say that sharing pictures of nudes are heinous. If you do, that's your opinion. I respect that. But I don't want to know that people live across the street from me if they've been touching children or if they've done some really bad things to women or to men. And a lot of times when you're on those lists, you're going to have that stigma that follows you for the rest of your life. So again, if you're a young man or a young woman, you're going to have moments in the future where you can choose to do the wrong thing. And some of you might just get away with it. But remember, there's always a chance that those actions we take at one time can bite us in the butt at a future time. Now, here's a question I have for you. I think we can all agree that if somebody gives you a picture and they don't give you consent to share it with others, then just you sharing it with others can be really bad, right? I think we can all agree on that. But sometimes there are people that just like to show their body off to people. So my question to you is this: if someone showed their body to you, knowing that you were going to share it with a bunch of people, do they have the same recourse? They probably do legally, right? But at the same time, I know for a fact there are some people out there that just naturally like to show off and do horrible things. Again, even if that describes you, I still think you shouldn't do it. I still think that can nip you in the butt, because one of these days you might decide you want to get married. And if your future wife or future husband finds out about these things, it can really sour a relationship. You ever meet somebody and you think, oh my God, this is just the greatest guy ever, or oh my God, this is the girl of my dreams. And then you find out she's been the girl of everybody's dreams, and the guy's been around the block and taken everybody's pictures. It's horrible. Oh, by the way, I saw a video today, and gosh darn it, I wish instead of sharing this story, I would have shared it. There's a story I saw on Law and Order. It's a YouTube channel with that Jesse guy. I forget his last name again. Jesse Weber. And in the story, a young man goes to help his father fix his computers. And apparently the father ended up having literally hundreds of hundreds of children doing horrible adult things. You follow me? And he ended up turning his father in. To which I say, good for you. Even if you love somebody, if you know that your family is a murderer or something like that, sometimes you have to do the right thing. So here's a question I have for you. If you were that guy and you went to your dad's house to help him with computer issues, and you found out that your dad or mom was a complete scuzz bucket, would you have done the same thing and turned them in? What a tough dilemma. I think no matter what, you would have to do the right thing, but it's your family. It might be easier said than done. I know for a fact there are a lot of married couples that they like to make videos of themselves, right? I think a lot of married couples do that. Did I ever do that? No, in case you're wondering. But there's a lot of married couples that do. Well, what happens when you get divorced? Usually the wife says you better destroy those tapes and not give them out. And I assume in most situations, the guy probably does the right thing. But again, you never know. Here's another question for you. What if you were fixing your old man's computer and you didn't see him with children's pictures, but what if you saw him with the neighbor's wife or something? Are there other things that would make you not necessarily tell the police, but they would make you tell your mom, or vice versa? You're fixing your mom's computer, you see pictures of her with Fred, the neighbor. Are you gonna go confront Fred? Are you gonna tell your dad what you saw? By the way, wouldn't that be horrible? You find out your parents are swingers. You go to your dad and you're like, hey, Mom and Fred, the neighbor, are messing around. And he's like, yeah, I know, it's okay, don't worry about it. When me and my daughter's mom split up, because we were never married, so my daughter has my side of the family, which I told you is getting progressively smaller because we're dropping like flies, right? And then she has her mom's side of the family. Her mom has a family member, right? And that family member is a swinger. And one time I saw that family member at a Pizza Hut with somebody that wasn't their spouse, we'll put it like that. And I told my daughter about this because I felt like my daughter was old enough. She was like, I think 19 or 20 at the time. And I told her about it. And that's when she told me, oh my God, Dad, they're swingers. So even though you think you caught that person doing something wrong, it might not have been wrong, and the other person might have known about it. I'm trying to be discreet because the reality is, these people still know me. But I guess the point is, you're gonna have moments in your life where you don't think that you're good enough to be in the other people's presence. But the reality is, if you make good decisions in your life, there's so many people out there that make horrible decisions. You shouldn't be ashamed to be yourself among anybody. So let's just say this, if I were in that person's presence 20, 30 years ago, I always felt like ashamed, like I wasn't quite up to par, right? But knowing what I know now, what a scuzz bucket those people were. Holy crap. There's a lot of scuzz buckets out there. The scuzz buckets are the people that look down on you because they're trying to portray themselves as something better than you, right? Something greater than thou. And in reality, half those people, maybe even 3/4 of those people that think they're better than others, half the time they are scuzz buckets, aren't they? You guys know what I'm talking about. Wasn't there always somebody that you wanted to impress, not because you liked them, but just because you didn't want to be seen as a loser in their eyes? And then you end up looking back in retrospect and all you can think is, that person was a loser themselves. What the hell did I care what that person thought of me? We go through this at high school too. Who do we try to impress in high school? We try to impress all the jerks and buttholes that are in high school. As you get older and you get more mature, you start to realize, I can't believe I sweated how those losers thought of me. Man, if you're one of my high school friends, I probably like you, but a lot of those kids we went to high school with, Straight up losers. Oh my God. By the way, I think when you grow up and you act like a weirdo, I think those things start at the high school level. You know, there's some kids at the high school level that are so cruel and so wicked, and you just think to yourself, why do they bully me? Why are they so mean? And then as you get older, you start to piece the puzzle pieces together, and you realize, they were probably embarrassed of the way they act. And the way they act, they learn that probably from their parents. So again, some of us grow up poor, but if you grow up poor and your parents taught you to make good decisions and to do the righteous thing, then you're blessed. You really are. Because let's be honest, a lot of us nice people, we never think to do horrible things to others. But a lot of these wicked people, man, they've been treating people like crap forever. God, a crazy woman just said hi. Kill Apollo said, you'll all remember how a few months ago, Illuminati was talking about how the weird Hollywood shit infected YouTubers and streamers. So imagine you're rich and powerful and you start to acquire some rich and powerful YouTuber friends, right? There's a certain fraternity that they have going on. I really feel that way because it seems like a lot of successful YouTubers converse and connect with other successful YouTubers. Well, I think what happens with a lot of these people is I think they grow up watching really bizarre, wicked stuff. I think they grow up having a really bizarre, warped sexualness about them, right? And then they see these things that P. Diddy and other famous people do, right? The Epsteins of the world and stuff. And I think, and the Weinsteins, right? And what happens is they want to emulate them. And so what happens is they start doing these horrible things, and then before you know it, everything is a threatened lawsuit. Hey, you're going to be sued for libel and slander. Why? Because you're telling people how I really am. If you're so embarrassed of the person you are that you have to threaten people with legal, with suing them, oh my God, I get so worked up about this because it seems to me like evil people always get away with so much crap. Bliss says, textbook narcissism. Okay, so I hate how people use the word narcissism all the time, but I actually believe that these are the type of situations where it's good to use it. Is your ex-husband or ex-wife a narcissist? Yeah, but no more or no less than you are, right? But when you have a person that's rich and they just want to ruin people's lives and then hide behind their money, that's what a textbook narcissist is. That's where you see a picture of people like them in the dictionary next to the word narcissist. Your husband and you, yeah, everybody's selfish in their own way, but that is nothing compared to people like this. Django Durango says, when dads are strict with their daughters, it's because they know guys like that are out there. Amen. Ladies, if you grow up and your dad is strict, it's probably because he loves you and he doesn't want you to ruin your reputation. So if you are a dad and your daughters are growing up, be in their lives. Tell them to stay away from bad people like this, how it can really ruin your future. And even if it didn't ruin her future, there's going to be a day in the future where this young lady might want to get married. Who the hell is going to want to marry somebody whose naked pictures are all out there for everyone to see? In my opinion, if you're 19, 20, or 21, I think you know the difference between right and wrong. And I think you know if you're sending somebody your picture, there's a chance they could use that against you. There's another thing things that people can use against you. If they look at you and see that you're out of shape, they're going to think that you're lazy and you have no discipline. So why don't you be disciplined to do a little extra credit walk, and I'll see you tomorrow.